Welcome to our Parent University session on growing great writers in Barrington 220 Elementary School. The purpose of tonight's session is to help you understand what your children are learning in writing in grades K through 5. I will also be talking about and giving some suggestions on how you can help support your child at home. This is our literacy vision for all Barrington 220 students beginning in kindergarten. We want our students to become active, skillful, and confident readers, writers, and communicators through purposeful literacy experiences within a comprehensive literacy program. What does this mean to you as a parent? Well, as a parent, you can model your life as an active and skillful, confident writer and talk to your children about it. Model when you are writing and what is your purpose for writing. As I go through the rest of this presentation, think about this in the back of your head. How can you model being an active, skillful, and confident writer? In Barrington, we teach our children and our students to believe in themselves from the very beginning. We want them to know that their words are powerful and that their writing is gold. We want them to understand that their writing can make a difference and they can make changes with their writing. When your child brings home their writing, encourage them to continue with it and to continue to make it even better than what it is when they brought it home. We want them to go into this world feeling powerful and feeling like they can make a difference. And it starts now as they are beginning writers. I thought this was an appropriate time to show off my daughter's first writing piece she came home from school with last week. Here's an example of a little girl feeling like her words are powerful and she can make a difference. Not only was she drawing a picture, but she's taking it to that next step where she's labeling her picture with words and she's coming home with a sense of pride. And I'm encouraging her to be proud of her work by talking to her about it and helping her feel like this is gold. This puzzle represents our vision of our elementary literacy curriculum. You'll notice that our students are at the very center, and the pieces around it are what complete our students through our curriculum. We start with the why. We want students to have enduring understandings on why they are writers and why it's important to have a writing life. Then we'll move to the what. The what are the behaviors that we notice and teach and support. In the classroom on a daily basis, we're watching our students and we're watching what they need to make them grow to the next step. We also are taking into account the Common Core standards. The reading and writing workshop is the how we do this. I'll explain that at a later point on what a typical snapshot of our writing workshop looks like during our day. The materials that we're using in Barrington are based upon Lucy Calkins, her units of study, and Being a Writer materials. And we assess our learning on who are we writing for. Writers must know how to write for different purposes and in different situations. All of these pieces surround our students. This is part of our educational journey and what they need to learn to go on. As I mentioned before, the Common Core state standards are part of the foundation of what we are teaching in our writing curriculum. There are 3 main genres that are taught in all grade levels, kindergarten through 5th grade. These genres are opinion writing, informative, explanatory writing, and narrative. Each grade level will build upon the year before in terms of expectations. Students are also learning at each grade level how to collaborate with others to help strengthen their writing. This means they will be working in conferences with their teachers, and they will also learn how to collaborate with their classmates and their peers. Students are also going to be learning how to use different digital tools to produce and publish. This might start with just some typing and word processing and progressing to different types of multimedia presentations. Some of this will be independent and some of it will be collaborative. Students are also learning at every grade level how to research and turn their research into their own writing projects. And they're also learning how to recall information and use sources to answer any questions. As we move up through the grade levels, different standards will be layered within. Starting in grade 3, students will be learning how to develop and organize, and they will be thinking about the audience that they are writing for and the purpose they're writing for and their tasks. So they have the foundation in kindergarten, first and second, and as they enter into third grade, it starts to get more complex where they are writing for different purposes. They also will be extending their writing time. They need to learn how to build endurance in their writing and write over a longer period of time. This could mean a longer section of time during the day or even over a few days or multiple days. So they're writing and they're continuing on as they go. And finally, layered in fourth and fifth grade, students will be learning how to write literary and informational analysis essays. This is when students will be reading multiple texts and taking their own ideas and putting their own ideas into writing. They will also be using their reading skills to enhance their writing. So they will start to be using evidence from the text to support their claims, and they will be making statements that will be their own ideas, but will be supported with evidence from the text. At the start of each writing unit, we assess our students on what they already know with an on-demand performance assessment prompt. This is an example of an opinion or argument prompt. It says, think of a topic or issue that you know and care about, an issue around which you have strong feelings. Write an opinion or argument text in which you will write your opinion or claim and tell reasons why you feel that way. All students across the district are given the same prompt at the start of each unit, and teachers will then take the time to read these examples and determine what teaching points their students need and how they can effectively design the unit to meet the needs of the students. There is a rubric that teachers use to grade the work and to really pull out specifically what teaching points that they need to hit. We do have learning progressions for each genre that our students are writing. Here is an example of an opinion argument writing learning progression. Take a look at grade 2, which is right about in the middle of the screen, and go down to the section that says lead. The lead for grade 2 says the writer wrote a beginning in which he not only gave his opinion, but he also set readers up to expect his writing would try to convince them of it. If your child is in the second grade, this is the expectation of what they should be able to do with the beginning of their paper. If your child has mastered that piece, you can look ahead to grade 3 and to see what the expectation is in grade 3. The difference is at the end of that section, it says the writer wrote a beginning in which she not only set readers up to expect that this would be a piece of opinion writing, but also tried to hook them into caring about her opinion. So the difference here is that our writers are making a more sophisticated choice to hook them into caring. If you want to see other learning progressions, these are available, and you feel free to ask your child's teacher. This is a non-level grade example of a first grade writer for opinion writing. If I were to look at this and look at the lead says guinea pigs are the best pets because they are cute and friendly and warm too. This writer chose from the very beginning to state their topic and gave their opinion. That's the expectation in first grade. The writing workshop is what we call the writing portion of our day. Students and teachers will go through 3 main parts. The first part is a mini lesson, and this typically lasts about 10 to 15 minutes. It's during this time that the teacher will connect with her students and give them their teaching point. What are they going to focus on during their independent writing for that day? Many times teachers will take a mentor text or any book to show how a published author has used that trait in their own writing. And they will encourage our students to mimic that trait as a starting point. As a parent, feel free to use this at home when you're reading books with your child. Ask them to look at the text and say, hey, what did this writer do, and how could you do that in your writing? The second part of the writer's workshop is the independent writing and teacher conference time. This is the bulk of the writer's workshop. Students are writing independently 40 to 45 minutes a day, and the teacher is working with individual students to set their goals or in small groups if they have similar writing goals. And the last part of the writer's workshop is extremely important. This is when our students are sharing what they were successful at today, or sharing something new that they learned, or a risk that they took. This slide shows the general process that our students will go through when they're working on a piece. They'll start with that pre-writing piece, that generating ideas piece. This is often a part that students will need a lot of support with. It's very common for a child to say, hey, I don't have any ideas, I have nothing to write about. So as a parent, you can help with this. Be aware of what genre your child is writing about during the school day, and try to have conversations at home or as you're driving down the street and you notice some things that, hey, there's a soccer game. Well, look at a soccer game, and a soccer game could be an informational piece. It could be a narrative story, the one time I played soccer, or you could write an opinion piece about soccer as the best sport in the world or possibly the worst sport in the world. The second part, after they pre-write and we generate ideas, we start to draft. Students will take one piece, one idea, and they will just draft. They'll get their ideas onto the paper. That's our first step. We will then go into the revision piece where we will go back and we will edit. We will do some grammar pieces. We will make sure that the components of it, the flow goes. And this is when students will often look at a checklist, and they will look at the checklist and see if they have all those parts. The fourth part about the writing process is when they are proofreading and editing, and this is where the spelling and the punctuation and all that piece comes in. When they're the final step is the publishing piece, when students take it to that next level. Sometimes digital tools will be used to publish, and sometimes they will be handwritten. Sometimes they may be recorded. There are many different options. As we go through the grades from kindergarten to fifth, you might see a decrease in the amount of published pieces. In the early grades, students are publishing on a weekly basis. In the upper grades, starting maybe in third grade, it might take up to 4 to 5 to 6 weeks for one piece to be published. Please know that our students aren't just writing one piece for 6 weeks. They are often drafting multiple pieces, and they go through the process of deciding which piece to take to the publishing stage. When students are writing independently, a teacher is often working with one individual student in a writing conference. This is when the teacher is able to meet your students' individual needs, give feedback, and set goals. The purpose of setting a goal is so the child knows what they can work on independently. And if the teacher is doing this with the student and the student has a say in what their goal is, it is going to be so much more powerful. So as a parent, ask your child, what are your writing goals this week? What are you working on? How are you working as a writer to become better? At the end of a writing unit, many classrooms will have some sort of celebration. Ask your child about the celebrations and celebrate with them. How can I help my growing writer at home? There are many ways to help your child at home, but this list is just a start. The first idea is to help your child collect story ideas. Like I said earlier, keep your eyes open, help them understand that there are writing ideas everywhere around them, and start to focus some of their conversations or their ideas on the different genres: opinion writing, explanatory writing, and narrative writing. The next step is to honor their writing, to really to celebrate their writing and to help keep them with that mindset that their words are powerful and their writing is gold. Another thing to do is just to ask. Ask and listen kind of go together. Ask what your child is writing about and listen to what they're talking about. Even though we're talking about writing, reading together is also a very important step in how you can help your child at home. When you're reading together, you can also talk about the choices the author made to make their writing work and what did they do as they went through the publishing process. We said earlier that students are all having writing conferences with their teachers. Make sure to ask your child about the goals that they have as writers and help them practice that at home. Another step, another idea to do is to model your writing. When you're writing, talk about it. What are you writing for? What's your purpose of writing? What kinds of things are you writing? They may see you writing during the day. You're writing a grocery list. You're writing a letter to your grandma. But also talk about the writing that you're doing in your workplace or when you're not around your child during the school day. Another idea, of course, is journaling. You go on a vacation, take a journal. If you don't want to bring a journal, buy a bunch of postcards and have your child take notes or write little stories about what they did during that day on a postcard and keep those as memorabilia. Something else to think about is the research tells us that the best way to become stronger readers and writers is through independent practice. Students are getting 40 to 45 minutes a day practicing their own writing. You can still encourage them to write more at home. As parents, we are a major influence on our child's writing, and it's important that we're encouraging them to practice at home as well. One of the most important ways you can motivate your children is by writing yourself and protecting your child's writing time at home. Another idea is to have a parent journal. I know some parents have a journal that they write to their child, and they might leave it on their pillow once a week, and the child will write back, and they have that going back and forth. Thank you for taking time out of your day to listen to information about your child's writing program in Barrington 220. If you have any questions, please ask your child's teacher.